Good evening to everyone. I would like to thank Sister Mary or Mother Mary for this kind invitation. And now we have Father Alain, of course. I thought you would not end your introduction, but it's good to be with all of you. I think in one or two occasions in the past, I have had some encounters with the SEDOS, and so it is good to be with you. At coming up here, I told Sister Mary, what am I doing here? She is an expert in the theme of Mission Institutes and Synodality, carries prophecy and witness. So what am I doing here? Well, I guess I have to obey our dear mother in the spirit of synodality. Yeah, and so I won't pretend to be an expert in this wonderful theme. And since these days, thank you, sister. So these days will be devoted into an experience of synodality. I think what I would contribute is just to tickle your hearts, your imagination, for further prayer, discernment, and sharing. I thought of dividing my sharing into two major parts. First is a reflection on synodality, and then a reflection on what I would call re-imaging or reimagining mission. Since all of us are called to be missionary disciples, but in a particular, unique, and radical way, the missionary institutes are called to witness to all of us what mission in discipleship is all about. So first, a brief reflection on synodality. Now, Pope Francis, of happy memory, calls the church to discern a path forward as a community of faith to become a synodal church that reaches out to the world, especially to those who are outcast or rejected. A church that fully proclaims the infinite, unconditional, and universal mercy of God. I quote that from Pope Francis. So it's a dense quotation where a synodal church is a church of a community of faith, which is missionary. It reaches out to the world, especially to the outcast and rejected. And it reaches out as a church of hope, bringing the infinite, unconditional, and universal mercy of God. So for this part on synodality, I want to share three simple points. First is, a synodal church is often depicted as a church where we as missionary disciples walk together. That's the image of a synodal church, walking together. The word synod comes from synodos. Synodos. Syn with, and hodos means path. So it is taking the same path together. Synodos. Yeah. And it looks like a simple thing to walk with others. But in reality, we know what is easily said, no, is not always the easiest to do. And in community life, you in your institutes, we in our dioceses, and I as a bishop, how many times have I heard, or even received appeals saying, Your Excellency, my mission will accomplish more if I walk alone. Please remove my companions in the parish. They're an obstacle to my mission. So why are you laughing? I thought this does not happen in your institutes, but really, huh? No. So we walk together. So my question is, how? How can I walk with others? How can I walk with others? There are many proposals from experts, from spiritual writers, and please, I'm sure during these coming days you will listen to each other how you have struggled with it and how as institutes you have tried to walk together. But for this sharing, I am inspired to go back to the prophet Micah. For me, the indication from Micah chapter 6, 1 to 8, is quite significant. The setting is like a court. God puts Israel into trial, but the case against Israel is presented to Israel. The infidelity of Israel, the forgetfulness of Israel, led to like Israel walking by itself, refusing to walk with others. But after hearing the charge, Israel, instead of apologizing, tried to bribe God. So bribery is not new. It's an old strategy. Okay, you have something against me, let me bribe you. What will satisfy you? What can appease your anger? And Israel, was presented a very good offer. And it is actually their offers in increasing scale. Like, what will appease your anger, God? Do you want holocausts? Or if holocausts won't please you, I can offer you calves, or thousands of rams, or maybe better still, streams of oil, or, wait a minute, even my firstborn son. Name the price. But God, full of tenderness, responds, oh, you know what is expected of you. Only to do justice, to love goodness, and to walk humbly with your God. I think synodality is possible only if we walk humbly with God. I see two possible interpretations of walking humbly with God. First, it could mean that if my co-journeyer is God Almighty, then I better walk humbly. If I am walking beside or with the superior general, I better walk humbly. if I'm walking with someone who is greater than me, well, I should carry myself humbly. No. But I prefer a second interpretation. To walk humbly with God means to walk the way God walks. And God's walk in salvation history is a humble walk. The mighty one, the omniscient one, walks humbly. The all-powerful God could have done things alone without needing anyone. But God chose to walk with the family of Noah, with Abraham and Sarah, with the lowly people Israel who were slaves, with Boaz and Ruth, with the shepherd David, with Zechariah and Elizabeth, with Mary, with Joseph. And God's co-journeyers, God's collaborators, are not always the ones that the world considers the greatest or the best. I think this is the humble walk of God. And God was not ashamed to walk with the little ones. Jesus walked with the same humble steps, beginning with his self-emptying, kenosis, in Philippians 2. And one of the first acts of Jesus was to call simple fishermen to accompany him. And he even shared the secrets of God and his authority with them. Yesterday we celebrated the Holy Trinity Sunday. But we see how the communion of the three persons involved a walking together, or some would say a dancing together. The Trinitarian dance. No? Jesus says, no one comes to the Father except through me. He is the way. And this holy year, a Jubilee year, is the door. But Jesus did not take that as a source of pride. No? He says, but I cannot do anything by myself. The Son can do only what he sees the Father doing. So the Son is humble. He cannot walk without walking with the Father. And no one can walk to the Father without the Son accompanying the person. And Jesus then would say, as he said in the gospel yesterday, the Spirit of truth, the Paraclete, will instruct you in everything and remind you of all that I have told you. So the Holy Spirit will not create a fans club. He will not say, hey, Jesus, your time is over. Your passion, your death and resurrection and ascension, that's it. It's my time now. Pentecost, okay? So you disappear. No, it's my time now. No, the Holy Spirit will teach what he receives from Jesus, and Jesus says, what I have comes from the Father. So the eternal, all-powerful God is humble. That's why I always say, sometimes we imagine the incarnation, the Son of God, with love and with joy, shedding off all his prerogatives in order to be a simple human being. And we human beings are rushing to rise and be omnipotent. And we fail to walk the walk of God. So this is my first proposal. We can walk with each other if we walk humbly with God and learn to walk the way God walks in history. The second point about synodality is God walks with, the triune God walks with persons and communities that are endowed with freedom. Yeah, as we saw already in Micah, God has done a lot, everything for Israel. But Israel remained free to walk with God or not, to walk with each other or not. Jesus, at the end of John 6, the bread of life discourse, he was confronted with a very sad situation. Those who heard his teaching about eating his flesh and drinking his blood, they all said, oh, this is hard teaching. So they slowly left him and went back to their former way of life. So people can choose to leave Jesus and leave the other disciples. Jesus turned to the 12 and said, are you leaving me too? Yeah. Wow, the humility of the Son of Man, and also the helplessness of someone who is confronted by human freedom. Now, some people say, so it's better if human beings had not been given freedom. Then we would just follow the Lord. Well, without freedom, that is not true following. Without freedom, then we might just be like objects being dragged, without full volition. I always say, and this is a true experience. I was interviewing, a couple for marriage. So I separated them, and so I was alone with the bride to be. So I told her, you just heard, from the Ministry of Family and Life what married life is all about, and so are you freely entering this life of commitment, and specifically with this man? And she said, but what can I do? He's the only one who showed some interest in me. Will I proceed with the marriage? Will this be a true marriage? Will they walk together? If there is no the expression of freedom, that's why in ordination and religious consecration, that is also asked, that is determined, the freedom. So freedom is not the problem in walking together with God and with each other. It is the unfreedoms that we have. So I think synodality respects human freedom and leads us to recognize with humility and even with pain and sorrow the lack of freedom that we have, the presence of enslavement in us. Synodality is a call to purification so that we would be truly free. Synodality challenges and even surfaces first mentalities, attitudes, wrong values that make us unfree to love, respect, walk, and work with others. So with Jesus and the creative spirit as our guide, we should open ourselves in synodality to being purified, being cleansed, so that we could see more clearly, so that we could walk more freely, so that we could love more authentically, and therefore serve more sincerely. Synodality involves this discernment, of the unfreedoms present in us as individuals and as community. May I continue? Later, sister, I might drown. But really, huh? So, yeah, what a journey. What a journey with God, and then this interior journey of really confronting and being confronted by the blocks to true freedom, authentic freedom, the freedom of the children of God. And that's why creation is still groaning with us. And the church is groaning, awaiting the revelation of the freedom of the children of God. The third point regarding synodality is we walk humbly with people gifted with freedom. And it will always be a humble walk because we realize we are also unfree to walk with them. And it is humble because we respect their freedom. But people are unique and different from each other, not only because of their individual freedom, but also of the culture that each one bears. And Sister Mary talked about interculturality, as part of being church, as part of being missionary institutes, and as part of being a synodal church. The walking together of cultures. We bring cultures with us as second nature to us. We talk, we behave, we relate with each other, we eat, we celebrate, and we grieve according to our cultures. But the synodal church that consciously wants the cultures of the world to walk together, within the church, needs what the business people call cultural intelligence. I learned about cultural intelligence from the business world. When they're looking for people to be sent abroad as managers or supervisors in their branches, abroad, one of the things that they look for, aside from IQ and emotional quotient, is cultural intelligence, meaning the person has a decent knowledge of how his or her culture has shaped him or her. So that knowledge of my culture has shaped me to behave, to think, to relate in a particular way. Cultural intelligence also makes a person open to learn about the cultures of others, other cultures, and to appreciate them. And thirdly, cultural intelligence equips a person to be a bridge of the different cultures. In a personal encounter, the cultures are sort of encountering each other in her or in him. Now, cultural intelligence is an example of a humble walk with others because all traces of cultural superiority and prejudice must be surfaced, must be admitted, and then purified. Every culture embodies a worldview and also values. So I suggest that we learn from anthropologists and sociologists. But even through simple observations, we can learn about cultures and develop through practice what I call cultural intelligence, pastoral missionary cultural intelligence. For example, a culture is defined by the use and arrangement of space. Like when I was still teaching, I asked our students to go to different churches and interpret the culture of a parish. Depending on how the space, how far is the presider from the assembly. Now, in some churches, the back seats are occupied first. That's a Catholic church. I don't know why. There's a, and then you have to encourage them. Please come forward. You are in a Catholic church. But why is that the cultural use of space in a Catholic church? Why is there a fear or what? Embarrassment to be close to the, I don't know. So space. I have visited some churches where I just took a seat. Definitely not a Catholic church. And I was told, you are seated in the section for women. Men should go. So there are some assemblies where there are places for women. So the arrangement of space, the concept of time, that's very cultural. I come from the Philippines, from Asia. So when they say, well, what time is the meeting? 10 o'clock. The next question we ask is Filipino time? or Western time, or what? I remember when I was newly ordained, I would go celebrate mass in a village, and I would tell the driver of the jeep, hey, faster, please. The mass is at 9 o'clock, and you're going very slowly. The driver would told me that, Father, 9 o'clock is when you arrive. It's not what the clock says. When you arrive, that's 9 o'clock. A time, no? So I'm sure in communities that becomes a point of walking separately. Yeah, yeah. Uh, when will the next provincial be appointed? Some are rushing, some are taking their time, some are, yeah. Or our heroes, our heroines. How come? No, some cultures uh, uh, celebrate their national day, and their heroes are only soldiers, and they have parades of weapons. Why can the national identity not rest on the simple people who walk and work every day under the sun, unnoticed, so that others may eat? Are they not heroes? How revealing the consumption of food. The, the first time I was invited to a feast in here in Italy, no, in the south. We started lunch at 1:30 and finished at 6 in the evening. Ah, because you have the aperitivo, and then you have the first plate, and there were three first plates. The second plate, there were four second plates. No, I said, no, I'm used to have one plate, and you have rice here, you have vegetables here, and then you eat together. Yeah. So even the way you eat, no, is very cultural. So now imagine, how do you make them walk together if there is no intelligence, that cultural intelligence? No? Now Jesus brought, he was very much a person of his own culture, no? But he brought also the culture of God, like in terms of space. He allowed a person with leprosy to come close to him. He allowed a woman to touch his feet and wipe his feet. A new concept of space was created. Time. It's the Father who sets his hour. His heroes and heroines, the Syrophoenician woman, the Roman centurion, they were outsiders. And then Peter becoming the prince of the apostles. Wow. No? So can we think of synodality also as this, you know, the walking together of cultures? So that's the first part. Now I close with some reflections on the synod, no, mission. Now again, you are experts in this, but let me. Uh, I'm getting more and more convinced that yes, it is the church that is a communion, a synodal church that makes mission. And the type of church we have will produce its corresponding type of mission. But the mission also makes the church. So a renewed mission will renew the church, as a renewed church will renew mission. So I think they come together, you know. And sometimes we make it an academic question. Where do you start? I would say, start. You start with a renewed mission that will renew the church, or you start with the church, try to renew it, and that renewed church will be expressed in a renewed mission. But being an Asian, you know, I use more of images than concepts. So I would invite you to reimagine mission. I'm sure you're already doing it, you know, but in the spirit of synodality, walking together, you know, while respecting the freedom of peoples and cultures and walking together, how can we reimagine the common gift and calling to be missionaries? The first image that I would propose is the door of a house. No, the door of a house. No, the door unites the outside with the inside. No. At the same time, the door distinguishes the inside from the outside. So what distinguishes also unites. A renewed missionary synodal church, I think, takes its door seriously. Now, through the door, the grace of Christian faith, worship, and service spreads into the world, into society. But through the door, the mystery of the Holy Spirit's creative presence and action in the world is brought into the church. So we tell the story of Jesus to the world with our narratives. At the same time, we listen to the stories of the world through the compassionate door of Jesus' heart. So the church is simultaneously an outgoing church and a welcoming church. No. La Chiesa in uscita must always also be la Chiesa che accoglie. No. That door. So the outgoing church is the welcoming church, precisely in the door, at the door. At the door, the church goes out, but at the door, the church also receives and welcomes. And that door could be anywhere. I'll tell you a story. A lady who works for Caritas in Lebanon, no, specifically with the detained illegal migrant workers in Lebanon, told me an experience of her. She went to Syria for a conference. So she took a cab because the place of the conference was in a hotel, but she lived with a religious community. So one day, before arriving at her destination, at the hotel, she asked the taxi driver how much she should pay. She wanted to prepare the money. No. And the driver replied that she did not have to pay. So she said, oh, I have money. I have money, I can pay you. But the driver insisted, no, you don't have to pay. And she told me at that point, she panicked. She got afraid. She said, what is the intention of this taxi driver? If he doesn't want me to pay, what will he do? So she insisted that I can pay you, I have money. But the driver replied, how can I take money from Caritas? I won't take money from Caritas. And surprised, she asked, how did you know that I am connected to Caritas? And the driver said, 3 years ago, I was imprisoned in Lebanon as an illegal migrant. It was there that I saw you. Said, one night I was sick, but the guards did not give me medicine. Then you passed by, and I asked for medicine. And you gave me some, he said. And I slept well that night. I always thought of you, he said. For 3 years, the face of that woman was etched in the heart and mind of this illegal migrant worker. So you see that the church is changed, is renewed when the gospel and the cries of the world meet at her door. And that door could be the door of a taxi cab. We have our institutional doors. But the church in mission has many other doors. So are we taking those doors seriously? The second image that I propose is sitting at table. Well, I am Filipino, I am from Asia. I should confess, we Asians love to eat. But other cultures also love to eat. And eating is not just about food. It is about coming together as a community, as a family. The table is complete when there is food and when there are human stories that nurture us, nurture our friendship, our solidarity. Stories also feed us. They're our food. A renewed church can be compared to a big table that has room for everyone. It is a table where the goods and the resources of the earth are to be shared, especially with the poor. It is a table where the poor who have nothing to eat and people who have no one to eat with can sit with dignity. Around the table, the church is changed or renewed by the spirit of mutual acceptance, interdependence, participation, and co-responsibility. Everyone has something to give and something to receive. No one is exclusively a receiver, and no one is exclusively a giver. The church gathered around the table of sharing and solidarity challenges the indifference, the greed, the discrimination that destroy the human family and our common whole. In fact, it is a shame that economies, national economies, are growing on the production and sale of instruments of death. How could an economy grow by causing death? And in the meantime, true human security, which means food, medicine, education, peace are denied. So we need, the church must show this big table that can welcome. Again, a story. One day, I was still in Manila. One day, a friend of mine asked me to accompany him to visit a place which is part of Metro Manila. But outside, it's another city outside of Manila. And he told me, just ride with me. You don't need to take your car. So I said, good. So on the way to that place, on one road, the traffic light turned red, forcing us to stop. Immediately, those of you who have been to Manila, immediately street vendors selling flowers, cookies, towels, candy, etc., popped up, squeezing in between the cars. The driver of my friend told the street vendors politely that we had nothing to buy. So they moved on to the cars, the vehicles behind us. Suddenly, one of them returned. He was selling cookies and called me, Cardinal. He was holding the cookies, Cardinal. So the driver and my friend motioned to him, oh, we're not buying anything, but he stayed. I said, Cardinal. So without asking permission from my friend who owned the car, I lowered the window. And immediately the driver and my friend said, sir, we already told you, we're not buying anything. But the vendor said, I'm not selling them. I want to offer them to the Cardinal as a gift. You see how our prejudgments are at work, And we were really put to shame. Not only because we prejudged the man, but also, see, this poor man who needed every cent to live just got out of that horizon of profit, that horizon of gain. He entered the horizon of gift and sharing. He was willing to give up his profit so that he could give a gift. So a new church just exploded before my eyes, showing the power of the poor and the wounded and of the least in offering a new economy, a new world order of fellowship and inclusion. I told the priests of Manila when I shared with them this story, I felt like this man, was the bishop teaching me, what this new world order is all about. And the final image, so that you could rest. The image of songs of lament and joy, the music, songs of lament and joy. The music runs in the blood of some people, and I humbly say of many Asians and many Filipinos. Asians gather in karaoke bars. And our conferences in Asia include a lot of singing and dancing. Now, music is one of the most effective ways to convey a message, to touch hearts, to lift spirits, to create fellowship. People remember songs more than lectures and homilies. Even, even while cooking, even while washing clothes, no, people hum memories and the melodies. Yeah. So I would dare say that people inhabit dance, music, and the arts. Those are worlds inhabited by many people. And we should go there too. No? But there are situations that silence us. We cannot even speak. We are speechless. According to the philosopher Fabrice Judge, we are speechless before dehumanizing suffering and also before pure goodness and love. Two situations that make us speechless. We cannot utter a word. But after that silence, the heart begins to sing. Seeing the great suffering of people, we sing songs of lament to God with tears and supplication. And seeing the goodness found in human beings, we sing songs of joy and praise. A missionary church sings and dances to God according to the rhythm of the people's lament and hopes. We have here our sisters and brothers from Africa, you know, where preaching and mission should be danced. No. But let the rhythm be, no, the rhythm of lament and hope. So I end with this story, then I leave you free. At a summer camp for young people in my first diocese, Diocese of Imus, yeah, I gave a 30-minute talk. No, the theme of that summer camp was finding one's purpose in life. So guiding the young people in their search for meaning in life. So after my talk, I invited them to ask questions. The first question came from a young girl. She said, "Bishop, would you sing for us?" So I immediately reacted and I said, "Please ask meaningful questions about the topic, and then I will sing for you." And yeah, so many questions came, and I regretted because they were very difficult questions. I should have. There's so many questions that came. The questions of the young people are really difficult. Then one young boy asked, "So, Bishop, will you now sing for us?" So I invited them to sing with me a song, which was a popular song, known to everyone. No? And then, after the singing, you know, they came to me, you know, to rush. They rushed to ask for a blessing. You know, the Filipino way, they would grab your hand and they ask for a blessing. You know, some asked for, of course, a selfie, you know, a photo. Some asked for an autograph. Please sign my Bible. Please sign my book. And some even asked me to sign their T-shirts. Please sign my T-shirt. While this was going on, I was asking myself, uh, what is this? No, what do they see in me? No, uh, am I? Do they see a bishop in me? Do they see a singer, an actor, or what? Am I carrying myself? Am I behaving, as a bishop? As a Pope Francis of happy memory. Every time I would go abroad and I tell him about this, he would say, "Oh, okay, good," and he would say, "Comportati bene, huh? Behave, huh? Behave." So at that time, I said, what do they say? Is something wrong with me in my becoming a bishop? But I just did what they asked me to do. A year later, in a similar summer camp, the answer came. The answer to my questions. A boy approached me saying, "Bishop, last year you autographed my T-shirt." I said, "Oh, so you're one of them." Now, and then he added, "Since then, I have not washed my T-shirt." Ah, 1 year. I said, "What?" He said, "But every night I fold it and I put it under my pillow. I have not seen my father for many years now. But with that T-shirt under my pillow, I know I have a family in the church and a father in you." So, like the eternal gospel is proclaimed in the form of a song and of a T-shirt signed by a bishop for a boy longing to see his father. It is a surprising, but I think a genuine phase of a renewed church and also of a mission that tries to renew the church. Thank you for your patience.